I'm going to share with you some tips for choosing fonts or for pairing fonts for a website project. So number one is pair sans serif and serif font families together. The kind of reason they work is because they are kind of distinct and they pair well together. They go well together. Another thing is this again. Do not pair two similar fonts together. So if you have fonts that are very similar, their letters and everything is very similar that you can hardly tell their differences, it's not recommended you pair them. Try to, like, when you're pairing fonts together, make sure that there are some contrasts. Although they might share some similarities, but there should be some contrast to that differentiates them from each other so that you can have a good pairing. You understand? Another thing is when you are picking your fonts to try to assign roles to your fonts. So what do I mean by roles? So roles are just like these particular fonts. I'll use them for the headings on my website. These particular fonts, I'll use them for the body text on my website. So and when you give roles to fonts, if you say okay, I want to use Roboto for the headings, that means throughout your website you're only going to be using Roboto for headings. And if you say I want to use this one for body text, you only use this one for body text, you would not interchange it and you just stick to whatever role you give them. So another one is this: don't have too many fonts on your website. So don't just go ahead and just pick like 5 fonts and start using them on your website and just train them anyhow. It's recommended that you stick to 2 fonts at maximum or 3 maximum. So try to like stick with 2 or 3 fonts maximum. Don't go beyond that. And cases where you might even need up to 3 fonts is cases where you may, well, let me just give an example. Probably you've been typesetting some computer code or maybe keyboard controls, so you might need a monospace um, font family to for those computer code or keyboard controls, something like that. So that's just one of the use cases. You might even need you might need 3 fonts. So in most projects, 2 fonts would do. So just stick with 2 or 3 fonts as most. And as I said, assign them roles. Don't just use them anyhow you feel like. So another rule for font pairing is you may want to pair fonts in the same family. For example, an example of fonts in the same family is Roboto here over here. So if we should look at Roboto now, Roboto has different, yeah, it has, let me just search for the name so I can explain what I'm talking about. Okay, if we should look at Roboto now, you can see that it has different versions of it, which are in the same family called Roboto. You can see Roboto here, you can see Roboto condensed, you can see Roboto mono, you can see Roboto slab, you can see Roboto flex, Roboto serif as well. So now you can pairing fonts in the same family, um, they kind of work together. For example, now if you want to like use this Roboto font family now, if you should pair Roboto serif or Roboto slab now or Roboto slab with Roboto or Roboto flex now, they'll make a good combination. So pairing fonts on the same family is actually very quick way to find a font pairing. Like another example of fonts in the same family is PT. If you look at PT now, you see PT Sans, PT Serif, PT Narrow. You also have PT Sans Caption too. So these are you can decide, okay, I want to pair, you can pair PT Serif with PT Sans. They make a very good combination. And this PT Sans Caption, from the name, it's I'm sure it will be best suited for captions like image captions or any kind of caption you might want. So that's another tip for pairing fonts. Another tip is pairing fonts from the same designer. So you can see that these fonts over here, even though they are they're in the same family, they are the same designer too. So if you want to see font designed by the same designer, you can just enter the name of designer or the type designer. So this one here is the name of the type designer. What's the names below the name of the font family. For example, let me search for fonts by this paratype guy. So paratype, right? Okay, I think he only designed this. So these are fonts from him, and we can pair them together. So fonts from this designer, put the pair together. You can see different ones. And let me see something. So let me say I want to pair fonts from Christian, but let's say I want to see fonts by this guy. Okay, I think he only designed Roboto ones. So these fonts now, since they are from the same designer, they could make a good pairing. They'll make a good pair. So let me see if I can. Okay, sorry. So for example, now the name of the designer is Venom Adams, and you can see some fonts he designed. So you can see Nonito and Nonito Sans. Looking at these two here, they'll make a good pair. So you can use this one for probably maybe you can use this one. I think you can use this one for heading because it actually has a lot of stuff. So you can use it for heading and this one for body text or something like that. And you can look at other fonts that he also has here as well. You can pair font by the same designer together. So that's just another. Okay, another tip is this: when you're picking fonts to use, always try to check the details and see the styles the fonts have. So if you are choosing, let's say you want to choose a particular font for your heading, go through it, see the styles it has. If you look at these fonts now, this font family, it has lots of fonts. It has thin italic, extra light, and you can see the list goes on and on, regular, and all these bold ones too. So when you are picking your heading, the font family for heading, you want to make sure that it has maybe 4 or 5 fonts. It must have a bold one, regular, italic as well. But compared to this one over here, this Anton over here, it only has just one font. This font family has only just one font. This font family, I wouldn't recommend you make use of it because it only has regular. And what if you want to like have, it does not have a bold font, neither does it has italic. So if you want to make use of those kind of things in your designs, you'll be stuck. So always try to ensure that the fonts family you are selecting has variety of fonts to choose from. At least it should have regular, italic, and some font weights 400. It should have probably 200 or maybe 300, 400, 500, 600, sometimes 700 as the font width. You understand what I'm saying? So that's another tip. Don't just, because there are some font families that only has one single style, and it really be a great struggle working with those kind of fonts. So always try to see the number of styles if they have. So you can see this one over here has 6 styles, and it will be good for if you're in need of it. It will be good because it has different fonts you can choose from. I mean this font family. Okay, so another thing is always try to read the description as well. So if you open up a font, you can as well read the description to see what it was designed for. So you can see about Montserrat. So if it's designed for a different purpose that is in contrast to what you're using it for, you should consider another font family to choose. And you also have this type style, which you can use to see how the font family is displayed, and you have different options. Okay, so that's the end of this video, and I hope you find these tips which I shared with you for choosing and pairing fonts together helpful. So in the next video, we are going to choose the fonts we are going to use for our website. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. We are going to choose the fonts we are going to use. Then we're also going to set our typographic skills. So I'm going to walk you through those processes. I'll see you in the next video.